Welcome once again back to Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda. Simple but crowd-pleasing recipes for your grill. I am Jim Haas. Thank you for joining. Today's recipe, rotisserie turkey breast and veggies. Let's do it. All right, well, here we are looking down the end of Rocktober, coming into November, and before you know it, Thanksgiving will be here, so I decided to do something involving a turkey. So here we go, rotisserie turkey breast. I'm going to do something a little bit different today in that I'm going to do the veggies in a foil pan underneath the bird while it's spinning on the rotisserie. I'm going to do the veggies at the same time. Usually when I'm doing a rotisserie, I've got a foil pan full of water and seasoning, which I might use to baste the bird or whatever it is I'm rotisserie. But this time for, in the interest of simplicity and let's just, and saving time, I'm going to do the veggies at the same time. So this can be, this meal could be for a couple or a small family. And if you kind of like the direction of this and you're feeding more people, just add more food. You can add a second turkey breast. You can add a second foil pan full of veggies. Now, I will mention that I am cooking on a Blaze 5 LTE, and when I do rotisserie, I only use that rear burner. It is an infrared burner. It's very directional, intense heat, so it really blasts that heat right into that rotisserie cooking zone. Now, with the veggies underneath, it's going to take a little while, kind of a slow cook, almost roasting the veggies underneath. It's going to get some of that residual heat, and usually what I find is it takes about 2 hours for a foil pan full of veggies. I've got them seasoned up right here. I've got some potatoes cut up, Brussels sprouts, and some onion. Real simple seasoning, olive oil, salt and pepper, and about a tablespoon of minced garlic sprinkled in there. So usually what happens, that takes about 2 hours to get to that crispy perfection. The turkey breast I have today is a little bigger than what I had done in the past. So this is about a 9.5 pound turkey breast. I've already got the rotisserie rod all trussed up. I've got some cooking twine wrapped around it. I've cut off all the little loose, fleshy neck parts on the end of the breast that, you can leave them on there if you want, but hey, you do you, man. I'm just giving you guidelines. So we're going to season this up, and if you've watched any of my other videos, I don't have a go-to seasoning, but I've been leaning toward a lot of the same ingredients here lately. So I'm using a buttery steakhouse from a rub called Kinder's. I got some onion powder and then a generic grill dust. I'm going to just put a little bit of the grill dust, but it's mostly going to be that buttery steakhouse and onion powder. And like most of my recipes, the seasoning starts with olive oil. Give it a good coating, all around. And if you want more detail on the rotisserie rod and how it all kind of goes together, I have another video out there on rotisserie chicken, and I get a little more in depth as far as the ins and outs of the rotisserie rod. All that fun stuff, but I'm trying to cut these videos down on time a little bit, so go check that out if you need assistance on that, no problem. All right, so there's our olive oil. And mismatched gloves. If I'm watching this, my OCD is kind of screaming right now, but I just happen to have a blue one sitting next to me, and I needed a new glove, so there you go. Buttery steakhouse, and this again is like, as far as poultry, there's not a ton of taste on its own, so I always preach about heavy seasoning. And in the same sentence, I'll say, but don't season too much, because you don't want to have your turkey or your chicken too salty after all the time and effort you're putting into it. So we just give it a generous sprinkling and a generous sprinkling. The other thing you could do with this, time permitting, is actually let it sit in a brine bath overnight, which I've done before, and it just kind of kicks it up to another level. But again, this video kind of keeping things simple and with limited time. I'm just going to do like this. But what I will do is I'm going to inject this with butter, sort of in lieu of the brine bath. Not that it is comparable to a brine bath, but it's just something you could do. I don't do it every time, but I'm kind of feeling like a butter injection today. So this will be great. So this bird, I started to talk about cooking time. General rule is somewhere around 20 minutes a pound. So this bird's going to take about, I'm guessing about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, maybe a little less. Again, using the blaze grill. Every grill is going to be a little bit different. You kind of got to know the personality of your grill, if you will. And there is some trial and error when doing these things. So I think if I time this right, I'm going to get this spinning. I'll put the veggies in probably about 20 minutes in, maybe 30 minutes in. So if all goes as planned, everything will be done at about the same time. In a perfect world. It will be anyway. We'll see. That's the fun part about all this stuff, is sometimes things don't work out as planned on these videos. And the mayhem ensues, and we have a good laugh, and it's all good. I did do a full turkey, a 16-pound turkey last year. I smoked one, and I did a whole video on it, talking about, speaking of, things that don't work out sometimes. And I'm going to add a little more seasoning once it's on the rotisserie. But I did a full 16-pound smoke last year, videoed the whole thing, got down to the end of it, and it just looked like a big black rock. It tasted great, but completely unusable video. So there you go. Case in point, sometimes the videos don't go as planned. So I'm going to get my butter melted. We'll inject this butter. Then we're going to go outside and we're going to get this thing going. Right on. All right, about 1/2 cup of melted butter, I think feels about right. If I feel I need more, we'll melt some more. And just various places on the bird. It's a beautiful thing. Ooh. Just the butter spilling out of it already makes it look appetizing. But don't eat it yet. Don't eat it yet. It would be bad. It would be very bad. So I'm going to do just a little bit more butter. Melt a little more, inject just a little bit more. And then we'll see you outside. All right, welcome to my favorite part of the house, the backyard. And it's time to get this bird spinning. I've had the grill preheating for 15 or 20 minutes or so. Something I always like to mention when I'm doing a rotisserie. Good rule of thumb, just good practices. This is the time to do your deep clean on all the guts of the grill. I empty out the entire firebox. Everything on these blaze grills is designed to come out with no tools. So I've emptied it out. They're all sitting over there in a bucket of soapy water. I'm going to scrub them all down later, and I'm always preaching maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. A little love goes a long way. Anyway, that being said, down in the bottom of this firebox, there are a series of drip pan baffles that sit right above the drip tray. Full-length drip tray. Most people don't even know those are there. Those do pop in and out. So I've even taken those out. So a lot of times when I do this, I'll leave those in, and if I have, for instance, my foil pan full of veggies, they're sitting on those baffles. In this case, I've taken the baffles out, so the veggies are actually going to be 3 or 4 inches lower than they would be, which makes them even further away from the heat of that rear rotisserie burner. Because remember, I'm only using that rear rotisserie burner. I've taken all the main burners out to deep clean. So I'm going to give this bird about a 15-minute head start and then slide that tray of veggies under that bird. Worst case scenario, if the bird is done before the veggies, it's all good because the bird's going to sit for an additional 20 minutes and rest and continue cooking and absorbing all the flavors. And we can just leave the veggies in here. If they're far from being done, I could slip another foil pan under them and kind of lift them up closer to the heat. So see, what I'm doing here is a little preemptive troubleshooting. We'll just see how this all turns out. Okay, let's get this bird on this thing. Get it spinning. Now I did dump a little bit of seasoning down in the cavity of the bird, and I also shoved an onion, cut it in two, and put that in there for a little extra whatever. All improv. All right, so set your timer for 15 minutes, and we'll come back. And then after I slide the veggies under there, I'm going to sprinkle just a little more seasoning on there because I feel like a lot of the seasoning ended up in the bottom of this, and we'd rather have it on the bird. All right, it's all good. All right, 15 minutes in, we're going to put these veggies underneath the turkey. I'm going to try to do this quick before the neighbor comes back with the lawnmower on the other side of that fence. I can hear it. There's that, a little extra seasoning on the bird. Which will also drip down to the veggies. Yeah, my dog doesn't like lawnmowers. He's about to go crazy. And look, it's all good. I'm going to continue to sprinkle this on there a little bit. What we're going to do is come back in about a half hour, give those veggies a stir, keep stirring them up in case they do get a little well done on the bottom so they don't stick. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And then at about hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how the bird looks, we'll do the first temperature check. See where we at. All right, we'll be back. Here comes the lawnmowers. Total mayhem, yard work happening all around me. It's kind of quiet right now. We're about a half hour in, so the timing is right. I'm just going to give the veggies a quick stir. Yeah, they definitely got a long way to go. I'm probably going to end up putting another foil pan under that one to kind of elevate them. But we've got a little ways to go. The bird obviously is still a long way from being done. So I'm thinking we're going to temp it out in an hour and a half from now, so we'll be 2 hours in. We're looking for that 160 to 170 temperature. We pull it off, let it rest for 20 minutes while it continues to cook to get to that desired 165 temperature for poultry, safe temperature. And so far so good. We'll give the veggies a mix every half hour, and we'll come back in an hour and a half and check that temp for the first time. So far so good. It's smelling great out here, and I think this is going to be an amazing time. All right, first temp check. We are at about 2 hours right now. It is smelling amazing out here. Actually, we are ready to pull this off. That got done a lot quicker than I thought. So, the veggies definitely got a little longer to go. So, I did end up raising them up. I put a foil pan upside down on the bottom of the firebox. So I raised the veggies up. So while I pull this off and let it rest under foil, we're going to let the veggies continue to cook, and it's going to be beautiful. I need to get my tin foil and all the stuff I need to pull this thing off. Didn't think it'd be ready this quick, so it's about a 2-hour cook. And yeah, man, we're temping out at 165, 170, which is a little higher than I usually like to see before I pull it off. But you know what, rotisserie, it does give you that room for error. It's constantly spinning, basting in its own juices. It's a beautiful thing, and we'll be right back. All right, the beauty of this also is that it's a big enough bird. Usually I let it rest for about 15 or 20 minutes. This certainly can rest for 30 minutes if we needed more time to get the veggies all nice and crispy. So, look at that. Look at that. This is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be great. All right. I'm going to get some foil over this. I'm going to move this operation inside. I'm going to let the veggies continue to crisp up nice and good. And then we will see you on the inside. What I like to call the moment of truth. Okay, welcome to what we like to call the moment of truth. So, turkey has been resting under foil for a half an hour, at which point the veggies were absolute crispy perfection. So I pulled them off a few minutes ago. Yeah, still very hot, but I can't help myself. I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna let this Brussels sprout cool off while I while I unveil the big show. So just about the 2-hour mark is where this thing ended up being, which cooked up a little quicker than I thought. But that's all good, because now we get to eat a little sooner than expected. So I can tell you right now, it's juicy as can be. Might be all that butter dripping out of there. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Now, one of the trickiest parts of all of this is getting it off the rotisserie rod. Sometimes it's just that easy. Sometimes the bird goes flying off the other end of the counter. So, there is that. Now, oh yeah. All right. See that dripping? Look at that. Look at that. Let's cut into this. All right. Juicy, perfection, rotisserie, turkey breast, veggies. What can I tell you? Life is short. Eat well and enjoy yourselves. This video is done. I'm cutting this up. I gotta eat. Cheers. Just had to show you one last shot. Okay, veggies, excellent. I'm gonna get a little bit of this skin. Subscribe to the silly little channel. Thank you once again for your time. Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda. I'm Jim Haas. Cheers, everybody.